Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And this is your boy JTG, aka Jay the God.
Whether you are down the street or anywhere in the Northeast, fans, the day has finally come as we prepare to celebrate 20 years of Boston Wrestling MWF. All-inclusive VIP packages and tickets are on sale for our Back to the 80s WrestleFest 20th anniversary. It is going to be a VIP exclusive Q&A with the great 80s legends, an autograph and photo fan fest, and professional wrestling so hot it's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. You can get your tickets at Boston Wrestling beginning in 3, 2, 1, go.
Wrestling fans, it's time to rock. WWE legend Marty Jannetty of the Rockers returns for 3 big nights, Wednesday, September the 1st through Friday, September the 3rd. Marty will be taping historical Wrestling Insider episodes, live specials, Insider autograph signings, support wrestling superstars, pre-order autographed 8x10s now over at bostonwrestling.com. This September, get your sunglasses ready. It's time to party with Marty.
What kind of experiences did you get early in your careers by being able to work the local individualized territories as opposed to now where if you're good, you get thrown into the fire, whether it be in TNA's developmental, WWE's developmental. But guys, in a lot of cases, they really don't have experience at the level where they're trying to be.
No. Back in the Stone Age when I broke in, there were a lot of, if you were in a locker room, there was probably, you'd only have 5 or 6 matches on the show, usually 5. And then out of those 5 matches, you were the only guy that had 1, 2, 3, 4 years of experience working 7 days a week. Everybody else had been working for, 10, 15, 20 years. And you said nothing. You didn't, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that tonight. You listened. And the older, more experienced people took you in the ring and physically moved you around, let you do things at a certain time, told you to get up at a certain time, told you to stay there at a certain time, and you got to learn what worked, why it didn't work, why you should have stayed there longer to get the crowd to want to pay to come see you again. And that ultimately was the goal. It wasn't have a good match. Nobody cared. Nobody asked me for 14, 15 years of my career if I had a good match. Nobody gave a rat's ass. All they cared about was how many people were in the seats. And that's, I think, the thing that's been lost is that everybody wants to have the best match on the show. Nobody cares if they have the match that sells the most tickets. And then, the only way that you know if you had the best match on the show is how many people showed up next month to see you. It's not based off of what somebody writes an opinion about you. And, from a smart mark, which is probably the most oxymoronic term I've ever heard, because how can you be smart to something but yet be a mark for it? It's not possible. And what's even stupider is, who came up with the term smart marks? Smart marks. Because they wanted to differentiate themselves and say they were a part of a business that they've never actually been a part of. Just because you have knowledge about something doesn't mean that you actually know anything, because Carlito brought it up before. It's all about experience. I mean, I go on the internet every day, and I read about medicine. I go on the New England Journal of Medical Science website. I go on Harvard Medical School website. I watch every medical show there is, ER, MASH, House. I never miss an episode. Should I tell the doctor how to fix me?
No.
Why not? Because I'm not a goddamn doctor.
There you go.
So why are we listening to people that are on the internet telling us how to do our job? Because we're idiots. That's why. These people have a bunch of knowledge, but they have no experience. They've never been in a ring, and they've never had to perform and basically know that their performance and how good it is based on how many people show up the next time, so that they are better able to feed their family.
An analogy could be some of the big summer movie blockbusters, which usually get torn to shreds by critics, but who draws the money?
Exactly. Yeah. Do you think Hollywood cares if Arnold Schwarzenegger's a great actor? He's horrible. He's terrible. He is horrendous. He is probably one of the worst actors ever. But what's he get to do? he gets to make multi-million-dollar budget movies. Why? Because people pay to see him. That's it. They don't, you know, the bookkeepers and the accountants in Hollywood don't sit there and go, God, this is going to be such a heart-touching, rending, emotional-filled story that's going to change the world and how people view it. They go, hey, will people get up off their couch and drive to a movie theater and sit in an uncomfortable seat for 2.5 hours and watch this? Great. Let's do it.
I agree. Carlito, did you even have a chance to work anywhere outside of WWC where you were, again, family?
Yeah, I would do, shots here and there, like one-shots in different places. But mainly, my bread and butter was working in Puerto Rico for my dad. But the good thing about Puerto Rico, it was like a melting pot because so many people came from different places. You get the Americans that come in, they work with our locals, the Japanese people, the Mexicans. So I would, I'd get all this knowledge from all these guys that came from all over the place. Pretty much everybody worked for my dad back in the day, at one time or another. So that was the good thing for me was that, even though I didn't work those territories, I was able to see what they were doing. Because from there, I'd watch them, then I'd see tapes, from their countries or whatever, and see them work their crowds. And then you'd understand what the Mexican style was, what the Japanese style was. Puerto Rican style is this whole different animal than American wrestling. So that was the advantage I guess I had, living in Puerto Rico and growing up in the business.
How often would you run particular towns down in Puerto Rico?
When I started,
weekly,
we used,
bi-weekly?
No, I used to. No, it was good. Good thing about that promotion, we ran 4 days a week for I think about 5 years.
In the same towns?
No, different towns, all over the island.
Okay.
Yeah, but I work about 4 times a week for about 5 years.
Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.